Rank Arena. Rank Arena is a once well-known and respected consumer electronics brand. The company's televisions and audio equipment were particularly popular. The history of Rank Arena is closely linked to the British media conglomerate Rank Organisation. Many will remember the Rank logo featuring a man striking a gong, the symbol of the Rank Organisation Film Corporation, which achieved success not only in the film industry but also in other areas, including home AV. The dawn of the Rank Arena brand came in the 1970s and early 1980s, when the aforementioned televisions, music centers, video recorders, and even household appliances were produced under this name. To understand the origins of Rank Arena, one must look at the history of the Danish company Arena and the involvement of the Rank Organisation. In 1928, Danish entrepreneur Ove Hede Nielsen founded a radio manufacturing company called Herafon in the city of Horsens. By the middle of the 20th century, Nielsen's enterprise had become the largest manufacturer of radio and television equipment in Denmark. From 1955, the company produced televisions under the Arena brand, and in the 1960s, it controlled almost half of Denmark's radio and television equipment exports. Arena televisions were created in collaboration with the American company RCA. For example, from 1957, the Danes used RCA kinescopes and circuits in their models, which significantly increased sales in the domestic market and abroad. By the end of the 1960s, Danish company Arena was renowned for its high-quality designs. Between 1967 and 1972, its chief designer Hans Werner Olsen won the prestigious IF Design Award 9 times. However, even a successful manufacturer had to face difficulties. In 1970, Arena's new large factory in Horsens was destroyed by a devastating fire that destroyed everything from workshops to a warehouse with thousands of finished televisions, radios, and speakers. The Nielsen family was faced with a choice: try to rebuild production on their own or look for a partner. This is where the Rank Organisation comes into the story, a British conglomerate founded by entrepreneur Arthur Rank, originally known for the film industry, but which had been actively involved in the electronics sector since the post-war years. By that time, Rank Organisation already owned a number of electronics companies, such as Wharfedale, a manufacturer of audio equipment, and Bush Radio, a well-known brand of radio equipment. For Rank, expanding into the consumer electronics segment was a strategic move, and it intended to conquer the European market by combining British technology with well-known local brands. In 1971, Rank Organisation, through its Rank Bush Murphy division, acquired 80% of the shares in the Danish company Arena, effectively rescuing the company after a fire. This led to the creation of a new brand, Rank Arena, under which the revived company continued to manufacture appliances at its newly rebuilt factory in Horsens. The Arena founding family retained 20% of the shares, but these were soon bought out, making Rank the sole owner. For Rank Organisation, the acquisition of Arena was not only a way to enter the Scandinavian market, but also to strengthen its position in Western Europe, as the Arena brand was already well known, especially in Germany, where a significant number of televisions were exported before the fire. This marked the beginning of Rank Arena's history as part of the Rank Empire. The early 1970s were a golden age for Rank Arena. Rebuilt with British capital, by 1972 the factory was producing up to 300 colour televisions a day. The construction of the televisions combined British-Japanese technology and Danish design. The electronic chassis was supplied from England, from the large Rank factory in Plymouth, while the final assembly and installation in elegant wooden cases of Scandinavian design took place in Denmark. Rank Organisation actively collaborated with the Japanese company NEC in the development of televisions. Many Rank Arena models of those years were actually based on NEC technologies. Such international cooperation made it possible to combine quality and innovation. For example, one of the Rank Arena models of the mid-1970s became the world's first television set with teletext support. In addition to televisions, the Rank Arena brand covered a wide range of consumer electronics. This brand produced 3-in-1 stereo music centers, player, radio and cassette deck, receivers, amplifiers and speaker systems. In the early 1970s, Rank Arena promoted the concept of in-concert sound, the pursuit of the most concert-like, live sound from home audio equipment. At that time, powerful stereo receivers, such as the Rank Arena STG 6000 model, and L and LCP series speaker systems developed in Denmark and the UK appeared in the range. Although Rank Arena hi-fi equipment was of good quality, it faced serious competition in the market, and sales of specialized audio equipment were not as successful as the owners had hoped. Nevertheless, Rank Arena televisions won the trust of buyers thanks to their reliability and image clarity. Rank Arena televisions were particularly popular in Australia. It is worth noting that Australia played an important role in the history of the brand. Rank Organisation had long-standing interests there, dating back to the cinema business, and in the 1970s, Australia became one of the key markets for Rank Arena products. Not only were televisions and audio systems actively sold there, but local assembly of devices based on Japanese components was also carried out. For many Australian families, Rank Arena became their first colour television, and the brand itself became established in the public consciousness as a people's brand in Australia, whereas in Europe its presence was more limited. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, VHS players began to be produced under the Rank Arena brand. These were often licensed or OEM models manufactured by Japanese partners. For example, the Rank Arena RV350 video recorder, circa 1982, was a typical VHS deck of that time, produced under other brands. There were also portable combinations of TV plus radio plus cassette player. One example, the Rank Arena A0501 model, combined a black and white TV and a player in one portable case. Such hybrid devices demonstrated the brand's desire to keep pace with technological progress and meet the demand for multifunctional equipment. As already mentioned, the Rank Arena brand had an international presence, although its geography changed over time. Historically, Arena was initially focused not only on Denmark, but also on other European countries. In the post-war years, the Danish Arena competed with giants such as Philips and Bang & Olufsen and was able to capture a large market share until the late 1960s. After becoming part of the Rank Organisation, the United Kingdom became one of the centres of production. However, products could also be sold on the British market under other brands belonging to the Rank Organisation empire, such as Bush or Murphy, which were better known to British consumers. The combined Rank Arena brand itself gained the most popularity in two regions, continental Europe and Australia. To promote the brand in Western Europe, Rank Organisation created a separate structure with focus on Germany. This structure distributed not only its own products but also third-party brands. For example, Rank Arena in Germany was a distributor of Swiss Lenco turntables, British KEF speakers, and ADC pickups. In addition, through acquisitions of other companies, Rank owned brands such as Rotel, Leek, and Wharfedale. The complex business of Rank Organisation was so convoluted that sometimes very unusual products appeared on the market. For example, some models of Rotel amplifiers were sold on the export market with a Rank Arena label. This multi-layered structure continues to cause confusion among vintage equipment enthusiasts and collectors to this day. In 1975, Rank Industries Australia was established, which began manufacturing and selling products under the Rank Arena brand in Australia. The production strategy was to make maximum use of local resources. Interestingly, even General Electric kettles and microwave ovens in Australia were manufactured at Rank's facilities. This contributed to Australia's industrial development. The Rank Arena brand was associated with the reliability of made in Australia. Rank Arena televisions were also sold in New Zealand and other nearby markets, where products of British-Australian origin enjoyed a high level of trust. Despite its successful development, the Rank Arena brand ultimately faced growing competition, primarily from Japanese companies. Global electronics giants Sony, Panasonic, JVC, and Sharp rapidly captured markets thanks to a host of new developments and well-established mass production. Rank Organization, with its solid financial resources, tried to resist this pressure, but the profitability of its electronics division declined. In 1975, the difficult decision was made to close the Rank Arena factory in Denmark, which was called the most modern radio and television factory in Scandinavia. The reason for the closure was chronic losses due to falling sales. The Danish division was unable to recoup its investment, and after Rank's departure, the employees' attempt to continue production on their own was unsuccessful. It is important to note that the Rank Arena brand continued to exist after 1975, albeit in a different form. Rank Organization retained the rights to the trademark and decided to use it through OEM contracts outside Denmark. In essence, from the late 1970s onwards, Rank Arena branded equipment was manufactured at third-party factories. This was precisely the situation in Australia. There, the brand continued to thrive for many years after the closure of the European division. However, in the 1980s, it became clear that an alliance with a major Asian player was necessary to remain competitive. In 1985, NEC bought Rank Arena's Australian business, gaining control of its factories and distribution. The last televisions and video equipment under the Rank Arena brand were released in the mid-1980s. Then the products began to be released under the NEC brand, and the Rank Arena name gradually faded from the scene. Rank Organization itself continued to operate, but the company had already devised a strategy to gradually move away from AV and into other areas. Interestingly, the Rank Arena name did not sink into complete oblivion. Years later, in the early 2000s, the Australian company Mistral acquired the rights to the Rank Arena brand and attempted to revive it for a line of inexpensive consumer electronics. LCD TVs and household appliances with the Rank Arena logo began to appear on store shelves, designed more to appeal to nostalgia for the well-known name. However, this revival was limited in scope, and the new Rank Arena appliances did not gain widespread recognition. At one time, the Rank Arena brand symbolized the union of the cinema empire and home technology, an example of how a film studio with a gong on its logo was able to enter every home through television screens and speaker systems. Today, Rank Arena is a page in history, but the memory lives on among vintage collectors and those who fondly remember that very television or music center from their childhood. The brand has disappeared, but its legacy still gives rise to respect and nostalgia.